We believe that wealth is a journey, and that this is your jumpstart to trading success. Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Trader's Mindchat show, where we believe that wealth is a journey and that this is your jumpstart to trading success. I'm Mike.
And I'm Melissa, and we have an incredible show planned for you guys today. We have Rolf Schlotmann on. I call him the trader who sold his Mercedes. He, after successfully trading, Rolf quit his corporate job in Germany, started traveling the world, now settled in Thailand, and he realized his mission is to help as many traders as possible live their dream. He's the co-founder of Tradeciety, an online forex community, and he also created the professional trading journal Edgewonk. I am also in the middle of reading his book, The Trading Technical Analysis Masterclass. If you're a beginner like me, it really goes into great detail with different chart patterns, and I can't recommend this enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rolf is a great guy. He was on the show back in 2020. Can't wait to talk to him again.
All right, great. So but before we go into that, we're going to talk about how you can stay more present about achieving your goals. And his story, Rolf's story, actually inspired me to reread The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma.
Yes. Selling your Mercedes, selling your Ferrari.
It's definitely correlated, so I had to pick it up again. Such an inspiring story, and one of the fables really, resonated with me, and I wanted to share it today.
Which one was
it? Was
it?
About the boy who left home and he wanted to learn from one of the wise men.
Okay.
So he found the wise man, and he's like, "How long will it take for me to become as wise as you?" The wise man said, 5 years. The little boy's like, "Oh, well, that's a little bit long. What if I work some extra hours? How long will it take?" 10 years. Now the boy's like, "Wait a minute. Like, what if I put in extra hours, overtime, work weekend? How quickly will I become as wise as you?" 15 years. Now the little boy's like, "What on earth is going on here? Every time I say I'm going to put in extra work, you keep increasing the amount of time it's going to take." And the wise man said, "Simple, because if you have one eye on the destination, you only have one eye here that I can teach you with." So I think that's such an incredible story, and it really resonates with me, especially for traders.
Yeah, I think that I've certainly fallen into that at various points in my life, and I think that there's a lot of people out there that have it. If you have experienced anything like that, let us know. But yeah, I think that if you are focused so much on your destination, the end result, you kind of forget about the process. It would almost be like if you were driving a car, right? And you're not looking at the road, but you're focused on all the gauges, right? Like you're looking at the speedometer, you're looking at your gas gauge, like, oh, like I've got to make sure that I don't run out of gas. I've got to make sure that I don't run out of gas, and you're just fixated on that. Then you're gonna crash the car, or you're not gonna know where it is that you're going, right? Like understand those things, and they're there to glance at. So you have this goal, you want to be a trader, you want to achieve financial freedom, you want to leave your day job, whatever your reasons why for doing this, that's great, that serves as motivation, but just keep it in the back of your mind. Glance at it every once in a while, so that way you know where your gauges are, but you need to keep your eyes on the road.
And I think especially as people have their New Year resolution, they have these goals set, I found out that January 19th is usually the day that people give up on their New Year resolutions.
Oh, yeah?
January
what 19th. Are we up to? Oh, the 26th. So, what
people have given up, thrown in the towel, said, forget this. And I think that's sad. But you're giving yourself, 3 weeks to lose the 50 pounds or make the $1 million, whatever these goals were when you started the new year. You're not giving yourself ample time to actually make them work.
Well, I'm curious then if people start out with the right mindset on what this goal is. Like, do they really know what's involved? Right? Like, so many, and I hear this from people all the time reaching out to me on Instagram, Twitter, right here on YouTube as well, saying that, when can I start making money? When can I start making money with this? Will I be able to start making withdrawals after a month or two? Well, for one, you haven't given yourself any time really to learn the process. And if you're aiming to make withdrawals quickly, part of the magic of trading is allowing it to compound. Right, so let's say you become the best trader on the planet and you're able to generate 100% returns consistently year over year, right? Like you're one of the best traders on the planet and you're able to do that. If you're starting out with a small amount, like you still need that to be able to compound over time to get to your million or whatever it is that you're aiming for. So time is a factor, and focusing on the process, the mechanism that's going to allow you to achieve your goals is what's going to bring you your goals.
I think that's, so important. I think that you're right. If you have your one eye on, like, okay, I'm just going to make my $1 million or whatever the case is, you're not really keeping that other eye on the journey. And I think that's what the fable was all about. You need to have your eye on the journey, staying present, staying in the moment. I read about Pablo Picasso, and, as much as he, was one of a groundbreaking artist, for his day, creating the modernist movement. He always said that he wasn't looking into the future. He wasn't thinking about the past. He was thinking about creating something for him for that moment. And I think that that's so essential, that for us to, whatever we end up doing, whatever our goals are, that we stay present, we stay in the moment, so that we create something that's right for us. So we're not just making a living, we're creating a life.
That's great, and I actually think that ties into trading as well, right? Like so often, somebody is fixated on what they want out of a trade, right? So you get into a trade. Well, what do you think you want? You want the
Money.
trade to right? You want money. You want the trade to work.
Yeah.
So you're so fixated on that you're not looking at the present and not experiencing, well, what's actually happening with this trade right now. Is it acting the way that it's supposed to act? Is it moving against me? Is it just moving sideways, right? If we are just fixated on, I want money and I want money now, and this trade isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, then you're not present, and you are you're potentially mismanaging this trade and missing out on other opportunities as well.
Wow, and I think that especially for new traders out there, that when you get started, like you want to make sure that trading continues to stay fun. Like it shouldn't feel like work. It should be something that you enjoy doing. I think this leads to the investing master Warren Buffett, his 5-25 rule, which is where you have to make a list about 25 things you want to achieve in life, and then you circle the top 5 that you feel most passionate about, that you really need to accomplish. So then he suggests that you then, focus on those 5, and the other 20 kind of like discard or put it away. You don't bother with them right now, because until you reach these 5, it doesn't make sense for you to even focus your energy on those. Because if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to trade, but then I'm also going to become an artist, and I'm going to become a sculptor. You have too many things on your plate. You're not going to focus. You're never going to achieve those top 5 that you feel most passionately about.
That's interesting that it's like the top 5. Right? I think of it more as like focusing on one, and then maybe you have the other 4 that are helping to support that one. So like, let's say right now your goal is to be a trader. I mean, you're watching this, it must be an interest of some sort. So you're interested on being a trader, but the other 4 things, like let's say you also want to build a business, let's say you want to go into real estate or whatever the other 4 things are. But let's say rather than doing all that, like you want to be a trader, and then one of the other things is helping to support being a trader. So let's say you're focusing on health as one of the things. Well, if you are healthier and you have more energy and you're more vibrant, then you'll have more energy for trading and for studying and doing all those kinds of things. Maybe you make one of the other focuses meditation, right? Like if you're able to remain calm, focused, have greater clarity, then that's something else that can help you become a better trader. So you could have other things that you're focused on and have primary things that you're focused on, but it's really all towards one goal.
And I love that you mentioned that it's all these different like supporting factors to help you reach whatever that one goal is to become a great trader, etc. Because when I think about these 5 passions or 5 goals, I'm thinking, like you said, like write a book, start a business, like these far-reaching goals. But just as we both know, starting a business and writing a book are very challenging tasks that could, if you're not focused on one, it could really take you away from ever achieving it.
It's almost like having, like, you remember how last time I think we mentioned like different levels of confluences? Well, we mentioned that on one of the shows.
Yeah.
So it's like getting all of the stars or as many as you can to align, and you're like stacking this thing on top of that thing on top of that thing on top of that thing towards this end goal. And it's working the same way with an individual trade where you're looking for X, Y, and Z to all line up, and you want the trade to have these things for your goal for whatever that one thing is, in this case trading, to start getting all the things to start supporting that. So
building a team, having great content, like all those different factors that are involved.
Yeah, having a support system and coaches and your mindset and
education. You continue to educate yourself about the different strategies that are out there.
Yeah, all those things. Like you could stack other disciplines that are going to support the one thing that you're after, versus like going for completely opposing things, or like things that are going to completely divide your focus. Then that's when things tend to fall apart, where there's a lot of stress and you feel like you're just juggling too many things, and it's hard to keep a lot of those balls in the air.
So I think it's interesting if we all take maybe some time to create this list for ourselves, maybe not to just focus on 5 things, but to write this list of 25 things, and then just pick one, and then instead of having things that are opposing thoughts, figure out what do I need now to make that one goal become a reality. And maybe that's when you could put in all these supporting items, so that you can start building your team, start figuring out what do I need in order to have the support group in order to make this happen.
Yeah, so like if you're filling out this thing that's 25 things, like most likely there's going to be different disciplines in there, right? Like there's going to be some things around your life, your health, your
being a good mom, being a good parent, or
spouse. Yeah. So when other parts of your life are balanced and you feel fulfilled, then it's something that allows you to focus even more on the thing that you're trying to build. Like for me, when things are going well here at home, and with Lily, and Lily's our daughter, when things are going well that way, and then things are going well with Mara and this show, and then it's helping me do better trading, because things are balanced. But when things start to slip into, like, let's say Lily's sick or something like that, then that's something that's out of balance, and then we need to bring ourselves back into balance to be able to carry on.
And as we talk about balance and about how we're going to continue to stay present with our goals, stay tuned. We have Rolf Schlotmann joining us. He's going to be filling us in with some of the ways that he was able to find the simpler life, and then continue to spread his mission about with others. So stay tuned after this word from our sponsor.
The sponsor of today's show is Edgewonk. Edgewonk is a trading journal developed by professional traders. I've been using Edgewonk for the past year, and I can't say enough good things about this product. It helps you keep your trades organized and provides actionable tips so that you can immediately make changes to improve the way that you are trading. Check it out for yourself at edgewonk.com and use coupon code MARA to get a discount.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Traders Mindchat show. Today we are here with Rolf from Tradeciety, and we also have our co-host again with us today, Melissa.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Let me tell you, let me introduce Rolf because Rolf has such a fascinating story. Like, well, one of the more fascinating stories of any trader that I've had the pleasure of knowing. And Rolf and I have known each other for a long time. But so after successfully trading, Rolf sold his Mercedes, quit his job in corporate job in Germany, started traveling the world, is now living in Thailand. Rolf realized his mission is to help as many traders as possible live their dream. He is the co-founder of Tradeciety, an online Forex community. So check out tradeciety.com, and also is the creator of the professional trading journal Edgewonk. And it's a fantastic journal. I've been using it now for about a year. Can't say enough great things about Edgewonk.
Thank
You
you.
could also check out his book, Trading Technical Analysis Masterclass, available on Amazon. Yep, Melissa's holding it up.
Vanna White here.
So yes, welcome Rolf to the show. Thank you for
Thank
being
you for
here.
having me. It's good to connect again. Last time we spoke when I was still in Germany, so it's always good to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So from then, right? Like so your journey reminds me a lot of the novel by Robin Sharma, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. You're the trader that sold his Mercedes.
Yes.
So
That's a good one.
so can you tell us about this trading journey and what the turning point for you to value this simple life, moving from Germany back to Thailand? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So when I was 15, I started doing websites online, and pretty quickly I started monetizing them. And then I recognized that you can make money on your own at home, in your parents' bedroom, even when you're just 15. And that was like a really big aha moment for me and a big mindset shift. And ever since then, I told my friends, my parents, everyone that I was never going to work for anyone, and I was always going to do my own thing. And then I started in university. I studied finance, and very early on, I got introduced by a professor, by a guest lecturer about trading and financial markets, which got me hooked. I got interested in Forex. And yeah, then during my university, I was also having a regular day job at the side, which then allowed me to, during my university, to build up a nice little nest egg together with my trading. And then after university, I decided that, okay, if I wanted to make it, then this would be the perfect moment to just maybe have a little bit more risk. I didn't have a family back then. I had basically nothing as a student that would really hold me back. No expenses, no other stuff. So that was the first time that I sold everything that I had and moved to, well, I flew to Vietnam and then traveled around Asia for 2 years. And then I settled in Thailand for a few years. And then I moved back to Germany actually 4 years ago. I stayed in Germany for 3 years, but then I realized that this isn't for me and I needed a change once again. So now we are back in Thailand. We just arrived again 6 weeks ago. Yeah, and the plan is to settle here. We now get a nice little house. My dog we flew her in. And yeah, now we are back here in Thailand.
Wow. So your dog needed to travel separately.
Yeah, because we were stuck in quarantine for 2 weeks, and we couldn't be stuck with her in a hotel room for 2 weeks. So we had her. She was staying with a family of mine in Germany, and then she came just like 10 days ago or something. Yeah.
Oh wow. What kind of dog?
Is a French bulldog.
French
Yeah.
bulldog.
Yes, so a small one, and she's really happy, I think, to have escaped the German winter because it's now getting cold and snowy, and here it's nice every single day. Yeah.
Awesome.
We are jealous. We are jealous here in New York.
Yeah, I think it's about 20 degrees here, Fahrenheit.
Okay, so that's pretty cold, huh?
Yeah, below 0 Celsius. I'm not sure
Okay, yeah.
what the exact translation is, but
That's pretty cold, yes.
so um, I was recently watching one of your videos on Tradeciety, and everybody that's here watching this, that you should go check out Rolf's YouTube channel, Tradeciety. It's phenomenal, and he's on there. You're on there every day, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I go live like once or twice a week, and then new videos every 2 or 3 days. Yeah.
I was watching this video that you did on Mindset, and one of the things that you mentioned in that video, and this is something that I had never heard in quite this way before. So many of us are attempting to create this perfect day, this perfect life, and are just focused on perfection. But what you had said is, don't focus on that, but focus on creating your perfect average day. And I thought that was a fascinating way to think of it. Can you walk us through a little bit of that, and
Yeah, totally.
how you came to this?
Yeah, so I borrowed this idea from Frank Kern, who is like the marketing genius of the 90s and the 2000s. He's really, really nice. And he made a very, very long video on YouTube if you just search the perfect day exercise or something like that.
Mhm.
And the idea is that most people chase those dreams, those huge, crazy expectations, which is good to some degree, I guess. But it's just it's not really applicable, and it's not something that he said. It's basically that you want to have a perfect average day that you can live over and over again without getting bored, which doesn't mean that you're going to party every night, get drunk, take drugs or whatever, anything crazy that people come up with when they think about the trader's lifestyle, living on yachts and cruising around the world. And the perfect average day is, for most people, something that is, when they realize it, when they go through it, there are many elements that you can already live in your day, which is, for many people, it's spending time with their kids, being close to them, maybe walking them to school, having a breakfast together, spending quality time with them, then having free time for yourself, for whatever it is you're doing. It's also about what kind of business are you running, what are the people that you are talking to, what are the customers like, what are the conversations that you have, what is the kind of food that you eat, is it healthy, is it stimulating? And once you go through this exercise, the cool thing about this is that, first of all, it's way more motivating, I think, and inspiring. And you have to really fill it with detail, with emotions. It starts from really in the morning, when you wake up. Where do you wake up? Who do you wake up next to? What are the things that you hear? The things that you smell? Where's your house located? Is it in a jungle? Do you hear birds, or are you at the ocean, or whatever it is? And it's really step by step. You walk through the whole day. And the cool thing about this is that, as I said, you realize that many things are already within reach, that you can actually live right now. There are not those crazy things that require millions and millions in your bank account. And it's a wonderful exercise, I think, and it's very motivating and inspiring. I do this regularly, and I have my students as well do it, and it's just it's it's a nice practice.
So can you tell us can you describe what your perfect average day is?
Yeah, totally. And it's one of the reasons why I actually moved back to Thailand.
That was gonna be my next
Obviously,
question.
Thailand has many advantages. Obviously, there's always a trade-off, and not everything is great. But basically, the living expenses obviously are just, compared to Europe, and especially I was living in Frankfurt, which is and one of the most expensive areas in Frankfurt. And if your monthly income would pay for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is for your living expenses, you can approach your life very differently. There's decisions that you make, they don't have to be driven by money necessarily. You can do projects that you would otherwise not really realize because they were not bringing in money, but they are actually passion projects. So for me, it's always about freedom. I have a problem. Well, some people would call it problem with authority. So I don't like when people tell me what to do. I hate appointments. I just everything that is a schedule, or having a rigid schedule where other people dictate it on you. So for me, it's just waking up in the morning. Every day, obviously, it's sunny, and I haven't seen a cloud in 4 weeks. And I go out with my dog. There are big parks in the compound where we live. There's a pool just outside of my house, a private pool and private gym. And so I spend a lot of time outside. I have way more time to spend with my wife. And once all of this craziness is over, there's a lot of traveling happening once again, because we live in North Thailand and there's a big international airport. So you're in 2 hours, you're in Japan, in 3 hours, you're in Hong Kong. So that's going to be as well. But it's basically a lot of time for me. I read a lot. I have other passions that I follow besides trading. And yeah, it's just a lot of free and playtime. And this also feeds back in your trading, in your overall performance, in your happiness. And yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
Well, what are some of these other passions aside from trading?
So I love to start new hobbies and just start new things that. So I do some art stuff, which most people wouldn't call art, but it's some things that I just enjoy doing. I like to do music every now and then. I read a lot. I love to go for walks. Those kind of things.
Do you feel that it's important to have things outside of trading?
Oh yeah.
Often, so many people that I speak with, like especially newer traders, are like hyper focused on trading, and sometimes you could be a little bit too into it to where you become unbalanced, and it's almost where you are struggling because you're pushing too hard, and having a little level of detachment with other things allows the systems to be more consistent or systematic.
Right. Yeah, totally. If your whole identity is wrapped up in being a trader, what happens is people also derive their self-worth from their trading results. So a bad day, a bad week automatically means that they feel down. Maybe they don't talk as nicely and they are to their family, to their spouse. And yeah, if your trading results have a direct impact on your mood and how you engage with the people around you, that's a very big very big red flag. So I think if trading is not everything for you and your identity is not only that you are a trader, it can help you deviate or take out a lot of pressure that you artificially create for yourself. Yeah, it's also nice. What I really like is the beginner's mind. So I
The
obviously have
beginner's
been
mind.
trading for a long time, and we teach traders, and I do videos about price action. I've done over 1,000 videos, I think, and it's just nice to not be in the teacher role. It's nice to just actually listen, to absorb. And once you start a new activity, a new hobby, you are just, yeah, you're just putting back, you're transferred back into this state where you are the amateur and you have to really learn a new skill, your new challenges, and that's something that I also really enjoy.
Yeah, I hear that a lot too in the self-development world, to do something new, something that's challenging, something that you might suck at
Yes.
for a little while,
Yes.
especially in the beginning.
Especially also things that, so when I was in high school, I always thought, and my teachers told me that art is not for me, and those are kind of things. And I think it's nice to just challenge those beliefs and to just explore it and to see how it makes you feel. And you will often realize that those things, those beliefs about ourselves, they're often not true, and that can have a lot. Yeah.
So when in a trade, right? So now, when in a trade, often traders can become very emotional with the trading. Is there, well, how would you recommend that people can overcome emotional trading?
Yeah. So I think the biggest misconception is that people always think that they have to trade like a robot, and they need to completely shut off their emotions and just
Yes.
yeah. I think this is obviously it's not possible. We are humans, and emotions are an integral part of us. And what is really important to understand, that every emotion is trying to tell you something. So instead of trying to suppress the emotion, you have to be a little bit more, become a little bit more mindful about what is actually happening inside of you. So you realize, okay, what emotion is actually coming up and what may it tell me? And then you can look at, okay, what actually did you just do? And why is this emotion coming up? Often it can be, maybe you broke your rules and you're completely outside of the framework of your trading system. And then it means that obviously there's a lot of uncertainty. You don't really know what to expect. Your edge is completely outside the window. And or you have maybe taken too much risk. Maybe you are in a revenge mode, whereas you have had 2 or 3 losing trades in a row and you're just trying to catch up. Obviously, that will make you very, very emotional. So I think the best approach is that being way, way more mindful, and it helps to just when you're trading, don't do anything else. Don't have Netflix on, don't have CNN on, or any of those things. Don't listen to a podcast, don't have a chat open. Just trade and listen to yourself to really understand and really tune into yourself, to really recognize we are so detached from ourselves. People, when you go outside, when you go to a bus station, people just cannot stand there for 2 minutes. They have to pull out their phone 5 times. When you're in a grocery checkout line, people are they need to have music in their ear or podcast, and we completely lose the attack or the connection to ourselves. And this is obviously very bad, not only in trading, but in many other areas as well. So yeah, pay attention to the emotions that come up and try to understand what they are trying to tell you. And then you can use it to hopefully course correct your actions. In the beginning, obviously, it's going to be harder and it will, but over time, you will catch yourself earlier and earlier that you may have done something wrong. And then you can correct your behavior. And you can practice this, and you should practice this outside of trading as well, where you just try to be a little bit more mindful. When I walk my dog, I just walk my dog. I don't listen to music or podcasts. When I'm in the gym, I don't listen to anything. I'm just at the gym. When I go for a run, I just run and I look at the scenery or listen to the sounds. And all of those things are helping with mindfulness a lot, I think. It's always about being productive and cramming in more things that we can do in our days. But I think the exact opposite is the way. We need to have more free time, more idle time to just, it has many, many positive impacts, I think.
What other ways are there that people can practice focus? Like, are there meditations that you do? The other day, you had recommended a book to me on Twitter, it was a free download. I forget
Yes.
I downloaded, but I forget the name of the thing.
Jack Cornfield. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you say that again?
Jack Cornfield. He has written,
yes,
I think, over a dozen books, and he has many courses. And there's one meditation course, which is currently, I'm not sure if it's still, but I think it should be still for free. And it's like a 40-day guided meditation course. Yeah. So that's a good practice. But meditation doesn't only have to be sitting down. I read the book from Arnold Schwarzenegger, his biography, which is absolutely fascinating. And he also said that for him, the workout was his meditation. He didn't listen to podcasts or music or anything. He was just very, very present when he was working out. He was feeling his muscles. When he was doing the lat, he was feeling, okay, where is it actually? Which muscle am I engaging? And all of those things can be very, very meditative practices as well, as long as you don't always flood it with outside noises and those things.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that in that way, but it makes complete and total sense to me as well. But that's great. So there's other parts of your life that you could that could be meditative without just sitting in a dark room and closing your eyes and focusing on your breathing.
Yeah, totally. Because in the end, the goal of a meditation practice is that you bring it into your daily life. It's not when you wake up or when you stand up from your 5-minute meditation, then you say, okay, checked off from my watch, from my checklist. Now let's go on with my real life. And that's completely defeating the purpose. The goal of a meditation practice is that you bring the mindfulness and the awareness into your daily life. So you can have many, many more meditative sessions during your day. when you go out with your family, you just put your phone away and you just enjoy it. You don't post everything that you eat on social media and pull out your phone every 5 seconds. I think those are all those little things that help us to connect with ourselves a little bit more and to just remember that to be mindful. And I really like the books from Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now on New Earth. And he talks about that as well. Yeah, or Joe Dispenza, he said it, that people are running on autopilot. How often you walk down the street and you're just so lost in thought until 10 meters later, you're wondering, how did I even get here? How did I get from there to here? And it's all those things that are connected and related to that as well, when we lose the ability to be mindful and aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you said that, Rolf, too, because for me, I don't do the morning meditation where like you're sitting in a room with one of these like Headspace apps. I know Mike's been trying to get me to do it, so maybe I will give it a try. But I feel like I am one with myself in nature, just taking these nature walks. And I think you're right there. It's just how you bring it into your daily life. I think that's so inspiring. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, totally. I don't do the sitting meditation much, but what I do in the morning, the first thing when I wake up, is I go down, get a cup of tea, and then I do some basic drawings or something. I don't listen to anything. I just have the window open, the bird sounds come, and I just sit there for 30 minutes and just be alone with myself and with my thoughts without any external influence. Most people struggle with those meditative practices. And then they give up on it. But if you realize that you can have this even in your gym session, just leave your headphones at home and your phone in your locker, and you can have a mindfulness practice in your gym as well, or when you're running or whatever. Yeah.
Do you think people are afraid of their inner voice? I mean, people get uncomfortable with silence, so that's why they don't want to be in tune with their thoughts. So they have all these distractions, whether while you're trading or whether you're like just going for a run. Do you think that's part of the reason?
Yeah, totally. I think so. I've read a lot about Eckhart Tolle and those guys, and I realized that the voice in my head is really, really harsh at times, and we wouldn't talk to our friends or family in a way that we talk to ourselves. So we are always our own worst critic, and we can be very, very hard on ourselves. So it does make sense to try to not face this inner critic that is very harsh. But you cannot just suppress it. It's always gonna be there somewhere.
That's interesting. Is it still really harsh after all this time in studying?
Yeah, it's getting better, but it's always there. I think Napoleon Hill wrote a very interesting book, something with devil or something, and it talks about exactly that, and it's fascinating, and I think it never really goes away. But I think you just learn to deal with it. You learn to accept that it's part of you to some degree, and you also learn to understand that it's not really saying the truth all the time as well. So I think that's it's paying attention and being aware. And just I went to Dr. Van Tharp in London like 1.5 years ago, and he was talking a lot about this as well, that you just you learn to make suggestions to have a more positive inner dialogue. It doesn't have to do anything with this positive thinking stuff, but it just means that you realize the voice in your head and you just understand that Outwitting the Devil, exactly, thank you. It's an amazing book. And it's always a process. I think it never goes away. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned earlier too, about emotions and being having an awareness of the emotions that you're feeling. Do you feel that emotions can be leveraged when we have that kind of a awareness?
Yeah,
of them?
totally. As I said, when you feel upset or when you feel very, very anxious about a trade and those kind of things, they will usually tell you something that is not wrong or that is not right. I recently stopped also drinking coffee before my trading, or almost eliminated completely, because it's another source of just creating a lot of inner turmoil, which is not really necessary and not very helpful as well. It's always putting you on the edge. Obviously it's a stimulant, which you probably don't need when you are sitting in front of your charts and engage in a mental activity against yourself, pretty much. So yeah, I think really recognizing your emotions is important. And obviously it's very hard to tune in. So it's always important to look at what did you just do as a trader, and what emotion could this really create in yourself, and what could it cause actually. So listening to emotions is it's always the advice that you get, but it's very, very hard, obviously. What is this gut feeling now telling me? I don't know, if you look at it just isolated. But if you look at, okay, what did I just do? And what is this in line with my overall trading plan? Or did I just completely screw up? And then you have a pretty good understanding of why you feel the way you feel. And that then you can course correct. In the beginning, it's not going to be, your course correction will take time and you will often neglect it. But over time, once you really pay attention to that, you will see that, okay, this error or this mistake always leads me to losing more than I should. And then you will always catch yourself sooner and sooner and sooner until you are able to catch yourself before you pull the trigger. And that is really the goal. It's not to trade absolutely without errors or mistakes, but it's just being able to catch yourself sooner and sooner.
It sounds like it's almost like doing a live autopsy.
Right, yeah. And since you're using Edgewonk, we have this tilt meter built in. So for every trade, you can really say, okay, did I respect my rules for the entry, for the exit, and for trade management? And if you tick yes, you'll get a green light. If you take red, then you get a, if you violated your rules, you get a red light. So what is the challenge that then comes up is always keep your tilt meter green. And in the beginning, you will just log your trades and you will see, red, 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 that's not good. But then the thing that happens is once you are actually actively trading, you realize, okay, this thing will actually cause my tilt meter to go red. I should not do this. And this will help you then also catch your errors sooner and sooner.
Well, what about for the trader that doesn't have any rules?
Well, you should start there. Without having rules, everything you make pretty much is a mistake. And people want consistent results, but it always starts with consistent actions. Especially if you're a technical trader or probably any trader, your trades look always very, very similar, almost identical. When I go through my past 50 trades, they will always look very, very similar, almost identical, because they have the same rules and I follow the same trading plan. And if I see that a trade doesn't look like the other trades, I can see that something went wrong here. So having rules is always the first step. And what you can do, yeah?
I was going to say, what do you mean like looking exactly the same? Like the way that you managed it, the setup, which parts are almost identical?
So I am a technical trader. I only use technical analysis, no fundamentals, no nothing. So my charts or my rules are for every trade are almost identical. So I look for the same things on my charts, the same trend structure, the same patterns, the same momentum structure. So my entries are all based on the same checklist. So naturally, the trades from a screenshot perspective, when you take a screenshot, they should look very, very similar. And if not, then that's where you probably have made a mistake already.
And that's one of the things that I love about Edgewonk too. Like you could go in and tag the types of setups that you have. I have about a dozen or so setups that I end up taking, and to be able to flag each trade, like each ticker, and the type of setup that it's setting in, like, oh, this is a volatility contraction pattern. This is a cup with handle. This is a flat base. It makes it very simple to go back and see those kinds of things.
Right, totally, yeah. And you can then just look at your screenshots. And for those people who don't have the money to buy a trading journal software, what you can do is just start collecting screenshots for every single trade that you take. Have a folder on your desktop, which you arrange by month usually, or by week, depending on how many trades you take. And just store all your screenshots there. It takes 5 seconds to do that. It's very, very simple, but the learning effect that you will get from that once you go through those screenshots once a week or once a month is just going to be very, very huge.
I love that. And I was very similar in the beginning too. Like I the other day I was going through the basement and I found this binder. It was about this thick with all the charts that were printed out with handwritten notes on it. It doesn't have to be fancy, but
Right. Yeah.
certainly
Yeah. I used to have that
certainly
as
helpful.
well. Yeah. I remember in the beginning, I was printing out everything that I had, but obviously now, when we moved to Thailand, we made a decision. Okay, everybody can just bring one suitcase. That's it. Your whole life has to fit into one suitcase.
That's
Oh
just
And
my
there
enough
was
for my
God.
shoes. Wait, what?
yeah, that was a very interesting exercise. We gave away pretty much everything because in a suitcase only so many things can fit. So that was interesting. Yeah.
So what made the cut?
Not much, mostly clothes, my computer. That's it. I have no attachment to any other stuff. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that too, because it goes back to like what we mentioned earlier, Mike, about, you're the trader who sold your Mercedes. Like, you don't have that attachment to material things, and you've figured out in your journey what truly is important and what you really do need in this new destination, with your family.
Yeah, and I also always feel, because I went through this now 3 times. The first time when I moved to Asia, then when I came back, and now once again. And I felt then every time when I was in Germany, again, I felt every time I bought something, it was just holding me down so much. When I had my car in the beginning, it was nice, but I just ended up just really, really having bad feelings about it because there's so many things attached to it. You need to get service, you need to get repairs, you need to get the checkups, you have to pay the monthly whatever, the gas, and it's getting rid of everything. It was just so nice, so freeing, and yeah, it's a good. Probably not for everyone, but it's a nice exercise. If you just go through your house, there's so many things that you can just give away. I donated a lot of books, and I had a lot of Lego stuff. So I gave that all away, donated it to some kids, and it's a fun exercise. It's really nice once you really realize, okay, do I really need this thing that has been sitting in my closet for 1 year? Yeah, we just accumulate so much stuff, and that's not always necessary.
That that's awesome. I love that a lot. What would you say? And we're going to get into the Q&A in just a moment. So everybody that's here with us, that's live, make sure that you're getting your questions in. Melissa's going to moderate the Q&A, and we'll take it from there. But before we get into that, Rolf, what would you say are some of the key habits for long-term trading success?
I think for one, it's discipline, definitely. But we interviewed Dr. Steenbarger on our podcast, and
Okay.
he said the number one predictor for success in all of the traders that he worked with, it's curiosity, which is really, really fascinating to see. It's those people that try out new things in their system. They tweak their stop loss. Maybe they go from a close to a wide stop loss. Maybe they try different management approach. It's people that explore different things in general. And I think it helps also to keep everything fresh and interesting and fun, because obviously trading, as I said, your trades should all look very similar. And what does it mean? It means that every day you're just doing the same damn thing over and over. It's just like the Groundhog Day. There's no creativity in trading for the most part. And that's, I think many traders struggle with when they realize, okay, trading is actually not, there's no creativity in the day-to-day grind, but you can introduce elements of creativity and make it fun once again, to just try around, build new strategies, add a new approach to that, or here and there. And I think that's very, very interesting from something that many traders overlook. But again, I would say it's also, it's the discipline, because most people are coming from the 9-to-5 world, or let's start before that. We're going to school where we are told what to do. The teachers give you the topics for the tests, and when you learn them, you do well. Then we go to uni, the same thing happens. Then you go to a job where the boss tells you what to do, and then you get your promotion when you just do those things. And as a trader, there's nobody telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want. And people say, wow, that's amazing, it's freedom. But then nobody tells you what to do. It's also a bad thing, because now you're responsible to figure out everything on your own, and you have to motivate yourself when the things are not going well. And this can be really, really tough, I think, for many people. And I've seen it many times. We worked with a trader who was having a day job. He was trading with us, and he became profitable. Then he said, "All right, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go full time." And then he did that, and he texted me a few months after, and he said, "My results are just so bad now, and I'm at home and I'm bored and I miss people." And then we talked about it, and then he said, "Okay, I will try to go back to my job, but as a part-time gig or just reduced hours or whatever." And he reported, and he said, "Wow, my trading results are back to what they were before, and I have much more time, much more fun doing it. It's more balanced as well." So yeah, discipline is very, it's important that you are able to motivate yourself, which I was not very good at. I failed my high school nearly. I had to redo a year, and it really then clicked for me when I was in university, because in university, the professors will tell you what to do, but nobody cares in the end if you pass it or if you get your degree or not. You're pretty much on your own. And that was the first time when I realized, okay, now this seems to be like the real world. Now I have to, if I don't do the work, nobody's going to do it for me. And ever since then, that was something that I tried to just practice every single day, that if there's something to do, I just do it. And even if it's those little things, when you think that your girlfriend or your spouse dropped something and you want her to pick it up, you do it. It's up to you. Nobody is waiting for you. And you just take control of your life and all of your things. You don't wait for other people or outside circumstances to match your inner reality. Those things that you have in your mind, where you think people should do this and this in order to make me happy and feel good. You just take control of your own stuff, and you just do the things that you need to do and you know that you should be doing. Those are a few things.
There's one thing that you said, well, with curiosity, that I want to try to unpack, because I'm experiencing this myself, and I'm not sure the right way to explain it. So maybe you could help. So there's curiosity, and you want to be able to test different ideas and methods, but like there's a line between good curiosity and then system hopping and style drift. How do you differentiate the two and prevent the style drift and the system hopping?
Totally. Yeah, it's a big thing. It's a big issue, because people just hop around, and whenever you have a losing trade, you look at, okay, I could have used this moving average and then this wouldn't have been a loss, and then they do it. But what I would always recommend is that you have your rules, your system. That's the number one priority. They need to be fixed. And then if you want to try something new, you just change one variable in your system. Maybe it's just trying a different stop loss. And then you say, okay, for the next 30 to 40 trades, I'm going to use a different stop loss approach. And I don't change anything else, just the stop loss, and I see what happens. And then you do that for 30 trades. And after 30 trades, you come back and you realize, and you can analyze actually, okay, the impact of just this one change, what did it have on my performance and my overall outcome. So it's this, thinking in those batches, in those sample size things, that's, I think, helpful.
I love that a lot. That what you just said is actually almost the exact process of what I just did for myself and with our members. So again, using Edgewonk, we have all the trades in there. Well, what I would do, just export it to Excel, and then from there test those variables to see, like, oh, well, what would have happened if I traded this way, or what would have happened if I had tweaked this one thing, and from there you're like getting that, it's almost not like scratching that curiosity itch without having to put money into it before you find out, hey, this actually works.
Right. And you can do it with just a piece of paper. What I suggest is, what people do is that on the left column, you just write down trade 1 to 30. And then in the first column, you put down the actual result of that trade. And then you can have multiple columns where, okay, you say, okay, in this column, I'm going to test a 2-to-1 reward risk ratio instead of a 3-to-1. In this column, I'm going to try to see, okay, what would have happened if my stop loss would be half the size or twice the size. What would happen if I move my stop loss to break even after the price has moved 50% towards my target? And you can quickly find out, based on statistically significant sample size, if those things or changes can be implemented in your actual trading. And it's very important to just always change then one thing in your trading, not change all of those things at once, because otherwise it's just very, very hard to really see the effectiveness of. Because if you change two things, it's very hard to say, okay, which of those things are now actually attributing to an improvement or to a deterioration of my system. So always make one change at a time and then see the impacts and the effects of it.
One more follow-up question before we get to the Q&A. What would you consider to be a statistically significant number? When would you start to get comfortable with the number of tests? Is it 30?
Yeah,
is it 50, 100? Well, how many?
Yeah, I think around 30 to 40 is a pretty good. It depends a little bit on the system. If you have 30 trades in a day, maybe you need to aim a little bit higher. But yeah, if you are something like a swing trader, 30 to 40 trades is usually I think it's a good amount, yeah.
All right, great.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A for Rolf. And I'll start things off while we're still waiting for some people to come. It looks like we do have some new traders in our discussion today. So I am in the middle of reading your incredible book, Trading Technical Analysis Masterclass. And for those of you who don't know, I'm still beginner to trader. I am learning as we continue to do these wonderful interviews. And Rolf has really made the technical analysis portion very easy to understand. And Rolf, just wanted to see if you could give us a little background as to why you wrote this book.
So when I was in university, I discovered that I really, really love to write. And my most favorite projects were like those big assignments or my bachelor's thesis or my master's thesis. And those are really the things that I really, really loved. So when I got to trading, and then we had a Tradeciety blog, I wanted to see, okay, I can probably write a book, and I've never written a book, so I thought, okay, why not? And then I just wanted to see how it goes, and the process was very interesting. I learned a lot of things along the way, and it's as you know, Michael, writing a book is not always fun, but you learn a lot, I think, and I think it's a very interesting journey. I always like to do new things that I haven't done before, to just see what happens and to just get rid of prejudices that one might have. So that's one of the reasons. Yeah.
Are you working on any other books to release in the near future?
I have written a second book. It has been done by the lector, or how you call it, the proofreader. But I haven't gotten to the point where I go back to the remarks of the proofreader. It's just...
Oh, that's the worst, the rewriting and editing. Oh my God.
Yeah, but
how many rounds of editing did you do?
What's that?
How many rounds of editing did you go through?
I did myself a few, and we had like 2 or 3 rounds. But then in the last one, she just gave me the notes, and I said, okay, I'm gonna take it from here. But it's been in my drawer for a month, for a year now, more than a year. But it's gonna come eventually. Maybe not as a book. I want to try different things. Dr. Steenbarger wrote a book, Radical Renewal, which is fascinating. It's more of a spiritual side of things. And instead of publishing it as a book, he put it on a blog for free as articles. So I find this very interesting. Or maybe do it in a podcast format or whatever. But yeah, I would just want to try new things. I've written a book, so that's done. I want to try what else can be done.
That's great. Rolf, one more question from me, and then I'll see if anybody else comments. You mentioned having a route, fixed rules, or having sort of discipline within your routine. What happens when things go wrong or didn't play out the way you wanted? How do you handle that loss, and how do you pick yourself up again?
So I would say I handle it pretty poorly, or poorer than or not as effective as I would like it. But yeah, you just have to realize that, again, as I said, nobody's going to do the work for you. and nobody's going to pick you up. You have to do it yourself. And yeah, I think it's very important to just not be too hard on yourself, to realize it's okay to every now and then just mess up and just go off the rails, and it's okay. It's totally fine. Don't be too hard on yourself, but you just have to you just have to get going again. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to do it for you. So yeah, it's just realizing that, okay, it's just time to get back to a serious business, and then it's just a matter of doing it, actually. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right, great. All right, looks like that's all the questions on our end. Mike, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Rolf, this has been very, very eye-opening for a lot of different mindset components, and I really want to say thank you for joining us today and for being here. I know it's late over in Thailand, and I'm really grateful to have you both on the show and to be able to call you a friend.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. I love catching up. So anytime, I'm always very happy to come on. So thank you for having me. It's always fun.
And Rolf, you have a new product coming up soon too, right? Was it Edgewonk 3.0?
Yes, yes. It's almost as nerve-wracking as writing a book. But yeah, it's coming as well. It's something that has been in the works for 2 years now, I think. And we are almost there, maybe a few weeks. It's getting there, yeah.
Oh, congratulations, and thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of different places where people could go to connect with you. Well, what would you say are the best 2 or 3 ways for people to go and find out more about you and what you're doing?
I think YouTube is probably the best. I'm the most active on YouTube, especially since I'm doing usually a Sunday live Q&A or just a regular trading webinar. I think that's the best way to connect. Yeah.
Awesome. Everybody go check out Rolf, check out YouTube. It's YouTube/Tradeciety to get to your YouTube channel, right? You have the little vanity link. I finally figured out how to do that too for our stuff. So youtube.com/Tradeciety. We'll have it linked down below. We'll have it displayed here on the screen. Go check out Rolf, check out his YouTube channel. And again, thank you so much. This has been incredible.
Thank you so much as well.
All right. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Wow, what an amazing guest.
Oh my God, I am still speechless. I mean, how did he fit everything into one suitcase? I don't know how he did it.
I have no idea either. That's just insane.
What would it really makes you wonder, what is the one thing that you would bring with you, or like what would you pack in that one suitcase?
Yeah, I'm not sure. If it's me and I'm going to Thailand, I'm thinking shoes. Right? You gotta walk everywhere.
I'll be packing my shoes in your suitcase, so I have more free space for myself.
Well, what would you bring?
For me, besides shoes, I would definitely bring something that's irreplaceable, like my grandma's ring, like something that has that sentimental value that I couldn't part with.
I have a lot of additional space left in that suitcase. A
ring. That one thing, but yeah, no, that's something that really, I don't think that I would want to leave that behind. But it really makes you think about, like, what do you really need?
It does.
Yeah, so what else did you get out of the interview?
There was a lot that I got from that interview, and there's a lot to unpack. For me, the first thing is the number one predictor for success is curiosity. I thought that was super, super interesting, and that there's really is such a fine line between being curious and testing other things with trading and style drift, where you are trying something, it doesn't work, you toss it, you try something else, that doesn't work, you toss that. No, like this is more about being curious about continuous improvement, and there's great ways to do that too. We started to talk a little bit about back testing, where you have an idea, you don't need to go and test it with real money just yet. You can test it with just like one variable at a time, but you could also take the trades that you already did and then tweak like, well, what would have happened if I did this differently or that differently, and then just go and play it out and see what would the results have been, and then from there, you're able to land on something truly great.
No, I love that. And I think for me, it really struck me when he said, instead of thinking of something that's far reaching, all these goals, like we were talking about earlier in this episode, think about how you create your perfect average day. And I thought that really was interesting, because you always think not everybody has a perfect day, but we can think, what would I need to have like a regular average day? And it could be as simple as, having breakfast with your kids, or what type of business are you running, or the type of people you're interacting with. And it's very motivating. You don't need millions of dollars in the bank to have that perfect day. And then we can start doing that today.
Yeah, the perfect average day. The perfect average day. I think that's a great way to think about planning things.
I do too. Anything else that you got out of the interview?
Yeah, there's so much, but I'll give you one more, right? The next thing came from when he was reading Napoleon Hill's book that he was mentioning. Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, and that inner voice can sometimes be harsh, right? And that for Rolf, like even to this day, right? Like trading for how many years, done all this kind of internal work, and the inner voice is still harsh. Right? I think that, and yeah, like I still have my own self doubts in certain points as well. And you know what? I think that when people are starting out with meditation and mindset, they just think that these things are going to disappear. And I think that understanding that it's more about understanding yourself and these voices and what they're trying to accomplish, that allows you to stick with it, and to understand that even if it is there, you can continue to carry forward, and it's not just you, that there's other people that are experiencing these things as well. You're not alone.
Yeah, and I remember Mel Robbins called, it's the chicken and the jerk. And the jerk is that harsh voice that's saying, like, what's wrong with you? How could you be doing this again? And, why you keep failing? And once you start identifying that voice, you can give it a funny voice. You can, it could be like Mickey Mouse or whatever you want to do to say that, you're not scared. I mean, I'm not going to listen to you. And you know that that's who it is. So that you know that it's not telling you the truth, and that you can still rise above it. It takes practice. It takes hard. I still get that voice, and I'm still working on it. But it's great once you have the knowledge that that's what it is. That it's not your mind isn't always telling you the truth, and that you need to be able to discern, what that is, so that you can then make the decision to still go after those dreams, even though it's trying to tell you not to. Mm-hmm. And that leads into meditation, and that was my last keynote for today was that meditation can be anywhere. Like, it doesn't have to be in a dark room, doing a mantra. You could meditate anywhere. Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography, he had mentioned he would get meditation out of doing the reps and doing a workout. And for me, it could be just taking a walk with nature, or finding something that you can still have mindfulness and that awareness throughout your day. So it's not just like, okay, just checked it off the list, I'm done with meditation for today. It's something that you bring throughout your life. So I thought that was very interesting. And for the full list of the key highlights, please check out the description of however you are consuming this. And we are so happy you joined us today.
Yes, thank you all so much. Now we hope that you take this and run with it.
See you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.